Hello. Hey, good evening, folks.
Hi, Ablash.
Okay, I think we have Gautami, Shanti, Baisakhi, Ayushi, and maybe we are waiting for Sai now. Okay, let's get started till then. So, did you folks practice yesterday? Were you able to go through write some queries? Are there any doubts? Let's take some time to kind of answer them before we get started today. Okay, any questions from yesterday's session? Anything we should do differently today?
Hi, Ablash. I would like to know how to import CSV into SQLite. Is there any way to import a data file?
I mean, you can do it using Python, although
Okay.
it's not part of it's not part of or rather pandas basically. It's not part of SQLite as such. I think you can do that as well. I'll cover. I'll check it out and I'll cover if there is a direct way to do it. But
Okay.
there is a definite way to do it via Python.
Oh, okay. But I was looking for the import option here, but I couldn't see the import here.
Yeah, I don't think you'll find it. I'll set up. I'll provide a code snippet separately for it.
Okay. No
You
problem.
so you every one of you have done pandas, right? Python pandas you have done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll provide a separate code snippet so that you can convert any CSV into a SQLite database.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. So think I think we have everyone. So good evening, folks. So let's do an exercise. Let's start from let's do this in a way that I'll give you some questions. These are general practical questions that you might get asked in SQL interviews, and generally they will be helpful based on in your work as well. So let's start by doing that, and we'll use all the knowledge that we like all the topics that we covered yesterday. So let's start by doing that, and what we can do is I'll give questions, and then maybe one by one you can share your screen and you can provide the write the SQL query for that, and let's see if we are getting the right output. Okay. Uh, okay, all right. So let's let's get started. So maybe Shanti, let's get started with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So can you share your screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing. Give me a second.
Okay. All right. So we'll use yesterday's database itself, which is the school DB. And
Mm-hmm.
so let's start with something very basic. Can you tell
Mm-hmm.
me how many students do we have in the in the school? So maybe open a new file instead of main.sql. You can just say whatever in the same folder. You can put another file, call it whatever day2.sql or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm checking open a new query. Is it?
No, no, just so just SQL practice, right? There is a new file option apart from it. Just hover over it. There is a new file option. Yeah.
Okay.
Just provide any name .sql. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, tell me how many students do we have in the school? Okay.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
250.
Two. All right. Tell me how many students do we have in section A? Okay, by the way, folks, these are questions that will get asked in interviews, right? They'll give you a data set and they'll ask you to find out certain attributes or certain certain answers to the questions that they'll pose, right?
Oh, how many students he has, right?
Yes.
Eighty.
Okay, this is a good way of doing it, everyone, because she applied like a where clause as well. So because you are looking only for section A, by applying a where clause, we reduce the data and this also makes the query a little bit optimal, right? So this is there. Okay. Let's do one last question. Let's say find out the maximum number, like the maximum marks that a female student got.
Mm, is it the maximum score of?
Yeah. Ask your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm checking the question again. I mean, thinking about the question again. Maximum
Yeah.
score
Yeah. Just
of.
the maximum score.
Okay, we'll try this. Mm,
There is an error here. Why there is an error?
gender is not in here. It's in students.
Okay.
It's
Make
not
sense,
in
right?
score. Yeah, it's not
Understood.
in the
Okay.
score. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's say that we want to look at maximum score in English.
Maximum score. Check.
Okay.
100.
Correct. Yeah. So this is good. So we should remember one thing, that we ran into a problem where gender was not in the table, right? So we wanted to get maximum score by gender, but it was not in the table. We'll solve this problem later, but let's park it for now. Okay. Good. So thanks, Shanti. I think let's move on to next. Who wants to go next?
I can try.
Okay, Ayushi, let's share your screen.
My screen is visible.
It is, yes. Okay, so let's begin. I think this is good. Yeah. So yeah, everybody can try as these questions are going on. So it will be relevant as well. Okay, so let's do slightly different. So Shanti figured out what were the maximum marks that you got in English. Uh, I want you to find out the student who got the maximum marks, or the number of students who got okay, can we do that? Or yeah, let's figure out the number of the student who got the maximum number of marks. Can we try that?
I can try.
Yeah.
Is there any particular subject or?
No, I want to. Okay, let's do English only.
Okay.
English.
Okay. That's a good question, right? I mean, you should keep asking questions like these in the interviews as well. Okay, try and debug what is wrong in the query.
Is this correct?
Uh, so let's get the question again. First of all, we wanted to look at the maximum marks only English, and we want the student who got
only English. Okay.
the. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay. So does this look good to you? Correct to you?
No.
Again, we are
It
looking for
doesn't.
this. Okay, so think about what is the output that you want first, right? So maybe just in row number 15, write down the output that you want. We want the student who got maximum marks in English, right? So what should be the output look like first? Just write that.
Student name
Okay,
should be there.
correct.
Subject should be there, and score should be there.
Correct. So how many rows should you get?
Just one.
Exactly. And how many rows are you getting? A lot, right?
A lot. Yeah, 249.
Correct. So that is the way to figure out that something is wrong, right?
Yeah.
Even when you're
Order
working,
by.
you can try. Okay, order by.
Mm, And limit one.
Yeah, okay, got almost there.
Um,
Try
uh,
limit one.
where can I write limit one?
You can write at the end. You can write it order after order by.
Okay.
Okay, try running it. Okay, you got this right. Now, there is a slightly simpler way to do this as well. Think
Mhm.
about it. Like you have used, first of all, just one feedback. When you're using group by, right?
Yeah.
You have used two columns, which is name and subject, correct?
Yes.
And then you have used one aggregate function, which is max,
Yes.
right? So thumb rule is the number of columns you use, group by should be by that many fields. So group by should be by 1 comma 2
Okay.
by 2.
Like
Okay,
this.
this is there. Yeah, but
Okay.
let's do it without group by.
Okay.
Can you do it simply without group by?
Like this.
No, no, no. So I'm
Mhm.
saying you figured it, you got the answer there, right? But
Yes.
let's try and do this without group by and without max score. What is the simplest way to do this?
Mm,
Can anybody else help? You're almost there, Ayush. You're almost there.
yeah.
Okay, so think about this. If you don't use max
Mm.
and if you just use score and you don't use limit, what will happen?
Should I try?
Yeah, you can try. Just remove max and just use score.
Mm. Mm.
Remove limit as well and see what happens. Okay. So what happened? You just sorted by score, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Now, if you apply limit one, what will happen?
We'll see the last entry.
We'll see the topmost entry, right?
Yeah.
The first entry.
From, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So you got the
Yeah.
same answer, but this is much
Yeah.
simpler.
Yes.
Correct. So again, always think about what is the output that you want first. Once you hear the question, think about what is the output that you want one. You can write it down in the query code itself and then try to get it simply, right? With the most basic things.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is there. So Ayushi, when you ran this in this code,
Mhm.
what there is a it's correct. Like Brian is the person who has got the highest marks, but there is
Mhm.
one, I would say, error which is not in the code, right? But in the data. Can you identify that? What went wrong? Like what is incorrect?
I think three people got 100.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So what we are missing in this query, in this code, is there are multiple people who got the maximum marks, and we just identified one person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is the second question that we'll park, which is uh, like how do you, when there are multiple rows, how do you, so first question was when the field is not in the column itself. And the second is there are multiple people with the same marks in this case. How do we get all of them? Okay. Folks, any other questions? Okay. All right. Who wants to go next?
I can try.
Sorry, who was that?
पैसा की
Okay, go ahead. Share your screen.
is my screen visible?
Yes, it is, right? So, Vishaki, let's start with something simpler. Let's say that we want to look at the maximum and minimum marks that students got in all 4 subjects.
Okay.
Okay. Is the question clear?
Yes. So we want all the students who with the max and the min marks.
We
in
want
all the
the minimum and maximum marks in each subject. That's it. We don't want
For-
students. We want for
Okay.
each subject, what were the maximum marks? What were the minimum marks?
Okay.
Okay. Think about it that you are the principal, right? And you want to know how the students are doing or how your teachers are performing. Correct? So in each subject, you'll want to know how many marks, what's the minimum and the maximum that you got. Okay? Maybe add average as well. That will also give an idea of how the class is performing, right? So maybe minimum, maximum, and average marks.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Again, does this make sense? Does the output
Yes.
look good to you? Okay. All right. Now let's look at one quick other question, which is I want to know in that, right? Okay. I want to know how many students are there by each age group.
So you want the number of students?
Yes, I want the number of students by each age group. Okay. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Now tell me how many students have the same name?
Number of students with same name.
Yes. So we want to know how many students have same name. So let's say there are 2 people named Brian. The answer is 2.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. Maybe we don't want the answer to be 2 exactly, but at least looking at the data, we should be able to tell that these many students have the same name.
Not sure if this works. Yeah, it does.
Okay. How do you know that people have the same name?
So I'm just grouping my name and counting how many times it's occurring.
Okay. But in the data, everybody is just one, it's name one, right? So it seems like nobody has
I think here
two names.
there is one entry with 2.
Okay. But this is very difficult to read, right? You have to scroll through everything. So if I have to get it right up front, how do I get it? Okay, cool. So this is something that we did not do yesterday. Great that you touched upon it. So, all right, we'll come to this just in a moment. Is there a simpler way to do this? So I get this is perfect. This is the answer. But is there a simpler way to do this as well? Something from that we learned only yesterday?
We could use a order by.
Exactly. We can use an order by. That will solve the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is there. Uh, okay. But this is so you're ordering by which field?
Ordering by the name, it should be by the count.
Exactly. Do that. Okay. So here we see that there is 3, right? Out there. Okay. So now let's, because you touched upon the having clause, let's kind of cover that. Okay. So did everybody understand what happened there? So folks, apart from Besaki, did you get what was happening there? So when she used, can you run having again, Besaki, just on this?
Yeah.
Okay, so having just returned 3 columns, right? 3 rows rather, 3 rows. So can anybody tell what is happening here? Can anybody guess, please? Can anybody try?
It's a where class.
It
Okay,
filtered.
one at a time.
Okay, so it
Yeah,
filtered
go ahead,
where,
go ahead.
like the count more than one. It filtered and gave the output.
Exactly, right? So you were right in using the word filtered. So the way where condition filters the rows, the raw rows, right? The raw columns, uh, having filters aggregate columns, right? So having applies only on max, count, average, sum, these filters, right? So if you look at it, Besaki used having count of something greater than 1, right? So think about it like this. You select something, but first from a table, you apply a where clause. So she applied, here she hasn't applied a where clause, right? So Besaki, just let's do the same query for age greater than 13. Let's see what's the answer we get. So we want to look at the students with same name but who are older than 13 years. How will we do that?
For age.
So think about it structurally. We are looking only for, so what is the first step? We are looking for students only with age greater than 13, right? So how do we get that? Forget about the query first. First, just get students with age greater than 13. Okay, right? So this is there. Perfect. Now, You are missing, yeah, a comma. Go ahead. All right. So you got this. So now your table is reduced, right? So where it did is where it filtered the raw table. Okay. Now what we have to do, Baisakhi? Now we are within this table, we have to find the same thing that you did previously, which is for each name, how many
So,
names actually exist.
okay. And I can also display the age, right?
You can, but if you are putting age, you have to group by 1, 2, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So let's try with age. Let's see what happens.
I think here it has to be having.
No, it was where, just that where comes before group by. So where is always associated with
Yeah,
from, right? So it will be above group by. So it will be from, where, group by, having. That is the order you will always have, right? You'll first filter on raw, then you will group it, and then you will, once you have the grouped answer or grouped column, then you will filter with having, right? So where and having are both filters in a way. Okay, so you got this. Just order it or use the having clause here to get to see how many actually have more than one. So it gave you 0 rows, right?
yes.
Okay. So now let's do one more thing. Copy your previous query, just the previous query. Okay. And here you have used name, right? So just do name, comma, age and count. Right? And name, comma, age. Okay. So first, before running, do you think the answer will be same or different? So first, if you remember, we had got 3 people with 2 names, right? So basically 3 names had 2 people associated with each, correct?
Right.
Run
Right.
the first query first. Let's see the output for that. Right? So we had Brian, Cody, and Dory, right? So these names are repeated twice. Okay.
Hmm.
So before running the last query, do you expect the results to be same?
Yes, I think the age, corresponding age also gets. Oh no, wait. These two people may not be of the same age group, right? Just the name might be same.
Exactly, right? So folks, did you understand what happened? So just run the last query. Let's see what happens. So the answer is just 1, right? Now only Dory has, like the name Dory has 2 people associated with it. Okay. So anybody apart from Vaisakhi, can you explain that? So can you try? What happened? Why is this the case?
So in the first instance, it only compares two same names. If they have the same name, it gives the result. But in the second instance, it has to they have to have the same name and the same age also. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct, right? So just think about it as like, how do you think about group by, right? In the first instance, so Besaki, can you just run the first instance till group by name? That's it. Don't run the having clause. And maybe order it. Just order by count of name. Okay. So what you're seeing here is, like Sulabh said, for each name, you're looking at how many, how many students have the same name. Okay. Now, Besaki, run the name and age one, which is the last query without the having clause. So here, if you look at it, I just order it again, order by count of name. Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so in this case, what has happened is now you're looking at two columns, so name and age, right? So group by creates segment. So in the first case, the segment was just based on name. So it looked at for this name, how many students are there. In the second case, it is looking at for this name and this age, how many students are there, right? So in the first case, so just can you do where, Visa, can you just do like select star from students where the name is Brian? Actually, where the name is Brian and Dory.
What's the other name?
Dory, Dory, the one with two. Brian,
Yeah, that I have.
Brien. Okay. So, folks, if you look at it here, uh, Dory had two names, right? Previously. Okay, we have two, right? So, can you just order this by name? Okay, right? So now if you look at it, Dory has both Dorys. They have a different ID. It is 18 and 168, and age is 13. Right. So both of them have the same age and they are in the same section. Whereas Brian, one is 13 and one is 15. That is there. So think about it like this. Actually, let me just quickly share my screen. Okay. Seems to be right. Okay. So I'm guessing everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Just problem. Okay, just trying to zoom this. Somehow not able to, not a problem. Okay, so we had Brian and we had Dory, right? Okay, I'm here, no problem. So let's look at students. So We have Brian, we had Dory, we had Abel. Removing that. Okay, so this is what we have, right? Now, think of how group by works. So group by works like in the first case you said Brian, right? So just by name. So we are grouping by name. So it will take a unique name which is Brian. Then it will take a unique name which is Dory, right? Then it will go row by row. Here it will check how many names do we have. So we have 1 and 2, right? So it will count as 2. Then it will go for Dory. It will say how many rows do we have. It will count for 2, right? Or think of it better, right? It's just a count of ID in this case. So it will take 2 IDs, which is 85 and 146. And in Dory, it will take 18 and 168. Okay. And the answer will be 2 here, and then it will count it. So 2 and 2, right? So let me put this as IDs, and then you have count of ID. Is this clear? So this is only when you're grouping by name. But in the second case, you're grouping by name and you're grouping by age, right? So it will take unique combinations of everything. So it will take the name first, Brian. Then it will take age, which is 13. Then it will again take Brian, and it will take age 15. Then it will take Dory and age 13. And again, you are repeating it, so this is not taken, right? This is not unique anymore at name and age. Then it will count for, it will look for IDs. So how many IDs do we have here? We have only one, which is 85. Here we have 146. But here we have 2 again, 18 and 168. Correct? And what will, then it will count it. So this is 1, and this is 2. Everyone clear on this? How this works? Folks, speak up, please. Is everyone clear on this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Masaki. I think let's take someone else now. Who wants to volunteer? Okay. Should I pick someone?
I can go.
Okay. Go ahead, Prinsa. Can you share your screen?
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. All right. So let's try this, doing this on scores now. So what Besaki did was she figured out by name how many names are, like how many students have the same name, right? But she did it on students table, correct?
Yes.
We want to do it from scores table. So from scores table, we want to know how many names, how many students have the same name.
Okay, from score table, same name.
And okay, before you start, what should the output look like?
Output should have name and then number of students.
Correct. So this is the first table on your right hand side, right? That is
Yeah.
exactly what the output should look like. Okay, go ahead.
From scores.
Yes, we want to do it from scores table.
Okay. Do you want me to use having or order?
Yeah, you can use having, that's fine. Use having. So everybody has understood having clause, right? I'll take that as a yes. So having is more efficient. We should use that. Okay. So what did you get?
So I got,
So this is
Something-
different, right?
yeah.
So clearly there is some kind of a difference, right? This is not correct. So
Mhm.
what is the mistake?
Maybe it counts the like subject, different subject.
Okay, all right. Can you, so this is a good start. So how do you debug this, right? So let's look at scores table first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is again a situation that you will face during your interviews where you write something and the output is not what you expect, right? So how do you debug this, right? So let's start from the basics. Let's look at scores, right? So let's look at the raw scores table first. Okay, so what do you see here?
Yeah, there are like 4 different subjects.
Okay, so when you're counting, it is counting it 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fix this?
Mm-hmm.
In the grouping, add subject to.
If you add subject, it will again, it will give it at a name and a subject level, right? It will create
Yeah.
unique combinations of name and subject. That is not what we want. In the output, we want just the name. So we learned something yesterday when we were counting. We did 2 types of count. One
Oh,
was
this
normal count, other was,
Distinct count.
yeah, go ahead. So can you fix that now in the query itself? Keep both, Prinsa, keep both, keep name as well as distinct name.
sorry.
So create another column, yeah, which is, no, use the same query.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so just add one more column there, comma and enter, and just say count distinct. Okay, just give it a name. So you said as number of students.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just say as number of unique students. And you need to change your having clause as well because you're using now a different.
Oh.
Okay. All right, let's run this. Okay, you got
Nothing.
nothing, right? Why is the case?
Because all
So the
students
question,
have.
sorry.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, this question is open for everyone. So this query worked in the previous case, right? Why is this not working now?
Mm-hmm.
The query is correct. There's no problem in the syntax of the query or the conditions. There is a logical
I think
issue here.
the distinct since
There
we
is no distinct count more than one.
Yeah, but there should be, right? Because we saw that Brian and Dory were names that were repeated. So there should be like 2 distinct counts here, correct?
I think it takes it does not take 2 Brias as 2 separate people because they have the same spelling. So distinct only counts them as one student.
Correct, right? So basically, what's happening here is you are taking a name and you're counting distinct names accordingly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me share my screen quickly. Okay. So again, let's understand how group by works, right? So you had, in this case, so we're looking at scores, right? So let's look at only 2 people again here, Brian and Dory. Right? So we have these many people. So the answer should be 2 and 2. But what is happening here? So we are grouping by only name. So it will take the distinct name. So we have Brian and we have Dory. Now what it will do? It will look at, we were looking at what? We were looking at counting of the names, right? So we are looking at the names column here. How many times do we see Brian? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Correct? But what is it? All of them are Brian. Correct? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Similar to this is Dory, right? Dory is also 8 times. Correct? Now, what does, so once we do this, then group by will, what are we doing? We are counting it, right? We are doing two things. We are counting and we are doing distinct count. So if we count it, what will be the answer?
8.
8. What will be the answer in this case?
8.
8. And when we are doing a distinct count, what will be the answer?
1.
1.
1 and 1, right? Because the names are same. Like Sulabh said, the names are same. Okay. So this is what is happening. So this is how group by works, right? So we need to understand how group by works first. And that is the reason. And when you put a having clause of greater than 1, nothing will show up, right? You are getting 0 results because nothing is greater than 1. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Prince, can you share your screen again? And let's try to solve this. Okay. So two things first. First is let's remove the having clause and just order by to see how the results look like, right? So what one problem with having clauses, if nothing is there, it will return nothing, right? But order by will return something, so at least you can see the data. That is how you debug. So just sort it by distinct name maybe, or just sort it by name, count of name, because you'll get a higher number, right? Or
This one?
yeah, because you'll get 8, otherwise you'll get just 1. Okay. Just do descending, please. Order by number of students descending. DSC. Okay, run this. See now, did you get Brian and Cody and Dory? We got 8 number of students and we got unique 1, right? For all other, we got 4. Now this makes sense, right? We had Brian, Cody and Dory. There were 2 people, others were 1. And for each students, we have 4 subjects, right? So we should see 4 as the number of students in scores table. And wherever it is duplicate, it should be 4 into 2, right? So it should be 8.
Yes.
Makes sense? So this is just a quick sanity check. Okay, let's fix this now. How do we fix this? So now we want the same output that we got previously, right? So how do we fix this? Think of it logically. So think of what you're doing. You're counting the names and you're telling that these names are basically number of students. Correct? Is that the case? In the data, in the scores data, there is a column which is unique, right? Which identifies one student as one entity or one number. What is it?
ID.
ID.
Right. So instead of counting the name, what should we count?
ID.
Okay, let's do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, distinct also. Okay. Did it run? Yeah. So now you got unique students as 2. Now try your having clause. Okay. Now are we getting the same result?
No, we need to remove this.
Yeah, that's fine. Like you can remove that, but technically you're getting the same result now, right?
Yeah.
as previously. Cool. Everybody got what was happening? Prince, are you clear on this?
Yeah.
Okay, let me quickly share my screen. I'll just walk through the example again with ID, and then we can move on to the next person. Okay, so this is what happens when we did the names, right? Now let's try doing this with IDs. So instead of names, we have IDs. So what are the IDs for Brian? We have 85 4 times and we have 146 4 times, right? So it's 85 and we have 146. Correct? And for Dory, we have 18 and 168. So we have 18. Okay, everybody clear on the first step? What happened here in group by? Now, once you have this arrays or this list created, now let's count it. The count is still the same. We have 8 entries here. We have 8 entries here. So this remains the same. But distinct is now 2. We have 85 and 146 and 18 and 168, right? So this is group by IDs. So when you count, sorry, this is group by name itself, right? So it's group by as the name field or name column, but you're counting, here you're counting names and here you're counting IDs, correct? And that is what makes the difference. Everyone clear on this? Everyone clear? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go next? Any volunteers?
I can go.
Okay, can you share your screen?
Yeah.
I will stop my screen share.
Yeah.
All right. Can you just make the output a little bit bigger? All right. Awesome. Cool. So let's try something different this time. So let's open it up to the class. So now you figure out and you ask questions for Sulabh, because we also need to understand what can be the potential questions, right? So let's I'll get started, but I expect the next question to come from you guys. All right. So all right. So Sulabh, let's try figuring out which subject got the highest marks.
Which subject got the highest amount? Okay.
We have 4 subjects. So we want to know which subject got the highest marks.
Okay. Is that correct?
Okay, think about how the output should be first of all, and then we'll get there. So how many subjects do you have?
4 subjects.
Right, and here we know that science is 100, but we don't know what marks did we get in other subjects, right? So first of all, we need to see the marks for all the subjects. So your query is correct. There is just one addition that you need to do in order to get there.
So
Exactly, right? So group by.
subject.
Again, it's just a general rule. Whenever you are using a aggregate function like count, max, sum, average, mean, median, whatever it is, you need to use a group by and the number of group bys should be equal to the number of columns that you have used. So here you have used subject as a column, so you should group by subject, right? This looks correct. Sulabh, can you run it? Okay, so you see 4, and you see that all 4 of them actually have got, the max score is 100.
Okay.
Correct?
So
All right.
the reason it only gave science before, because it was the first subject the query got, so it displayed only the first one it got. Is that the reason?
That is correct? Yes. By the way, this is a good point. This behavior is not consistent across, RDMS systems. So this is a behavior that you see in SQLite. In certain smarter, I should not say smarter, I should say some RDMS systems, it will automatically assume that, it is grouping by all the columns. Okay, it will just give you the answer. It will assume the group by. In certain other systems like Postgres, it will throw an error. It will say that you are using an aggregate function and you're not grouping by anything, so it will throw an error, right? The bottom line is so whenever an error is thrown, you are actually good because you know something went wrong, correct? Yeah. But when it just returns an answer, that is the most tricky place, because we feel that everything went fine, but in reality the answer was incorrect.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So hence, like, just best practices works sometimes. So whenever you're using max, count, any aggregate function, just use a group by blindly and just use it. The number of columns that you're using, just use the same number of columns in the group by clause. Okay. So this is there. Let's actually do a little bit tricky. So let's first look at the sum of scores that you're getting. Or average. Let's look at the mean, or average. Basically, mean is not here, average. So I want to look at the average scores across each subject, and I also want to know how many students took that subject.
Check. Let me try this.
Okay.
Score.
Again, yeah, go ahead.
So you want it grouped by average score.
Okay. All right. Right. This looks good. I would have just one suggestion. Because we know that names are duplicate and ID is a unique thing, use ID as a best practice. The answer will be the same, but in certain data cases where there are, maybe like there are duplicate rows or something, you would generally try to use distinct, and in this case, distinct names will give you an incorrect answer, right? So best practice, just use ID. Basically, use a field that you know is unique.
Okay, primary key.
All right, the best practice. Okay, let's do this. Okay, now let's take it to the next level. Let's say that I want to look at my performance by sciences and arts, right? So I am saying that English and history are my art subject, and maths and science are my sciences. Okay, so I want to look at the same data, which is what are my average score and what are my number of students who took the exam. Okay, but I want to look at it by English and history combined and maths and science combined.
Okay. I'm not sure if I can do that. Select subject.
Okay. Have you heard of case statements?
Yeah, I've heard of case statements. Yeah.
Okay. If you have heard of that, you can try using case statements. It will work. So this is a new topic or a new this thing. So it's fine. So now we did a try. We can we'll get to the right answer.
Yeah, I don't think I can complete the syntax altogether. I'm gonna have to take a look at it first.
All right, sure. So actually, let me do that, and then you can pick it up from there. Okay. Let me share my screen. Right. It might take a minute. I accidentally closed my editor. Okay. All right. So let's do this. I'll open another one. Okay. All right. So let's start where Sulabh left off, right? Which is he said that he got it correct. So for each subject, he said, what is my average score, right? I'll call this as my average score. And just for easier reading, I'll just put them one below another, right? And then he also said that, how many students are there? So I'll say number of students, okay? And he used the scores table, which is fine. And then we used a group by, I will say group by one. And this should give an answer. I have it in this queue. Okay, it's throwing some kind of an error. Okay, just placed a comma. Okay, so this is the same result that Slug got, right? Now, the question is, how do we have to group it, right? So what we are saying is we have to group it as arts, which will consist of English, and it will consist of history. And then we have to group it as sciences, and it will consist of maths, and it will consist of science, right? So here is where case statements come in. So now we are getting into the realm of modifying the columns, right? So we already have some columns. We want to modify them to our requirement or our business case, right? So let's take this out for a moment, right? So let's do only subject, or let's do star, right? So let's select everything from score. Okay, so this is getting everything. Let me limit it for better viewing. Okay, now instead of star, or let me put it this way, I will name scores as S, and I can do an S dot star. What it means is I am changing the name of scores from scores to S, and S dot stars means all the columns in S, right? So just easier syntax that way. So I know that these are my original columns that are there in the table. Now let's modify it, or let's actually do it this way. I will actually write it for everything, which is s.id, s.name, s.subject, and the last column was x.score. Okay, let's try and run this. If it's giving you the same results, first of all, it is, right? So let's me change something so that we know that it refreshed. Okay, this is what we got. All right, now we are adding a new column, right? And this column is called, we'll call something, it's called the arts or science, right? So it's a category. So we'll call it a category. How do we create this category? So we'll say case. Case is like a condition, like a if else condition. So we'll say case when the subject, when s dot subject, and we use exactly the where clause here, right? So the conditions that exactly the way you would use a where condition, right? So where this is in English, misspelled it, or it is in history, then I want to say that it is arts. Okay. Oh, sorry, when, we have to say when, case when, right? And then if it is in not in that, and it is, let's say, in science, or it is maths, then we will call it sciences, right? This is my basic, and there is a catch-all condition. Let's say there is a row which is nothing, it's not English, history, maths, or science, right? So catch-all condition will say that else we'll call it NA, right? And we'll end this. So this is the syntax for case. And as you will name any other column, you will name this as a subject category, right? That's it. Let's try and see what happens. See, a new column got created called a subject category. And wherever it is science or maths, it is tagging it as sciences. And wherever it is English and history, it is tagging it as arts. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yeah.
Is this clear for everyone?
Yeah.
All right. So Sulabh, can you try now? Can you try answering the same question? Please share your screen and let's try answering the same question. Hey, can you hear me, guys? Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. I'll just paste the syntax in the chat so that you can use it directly. Feel free to write it though. It's better if you write it as well. It just helps with your practice. Nope, nope. So you are using a case statement after from. Case statement is like any other column, so it should be used before from. So just, yeah, go ahead. And you need to put a comma after score. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. So everybody should try it, locally as well. Like in their, while Sulabh is solving this, they should also try doing it in their own machines. You need to write case only once, Sulabh. So it's the way it works is case, and then for every condition, you just write when. And you're missing a quote after history. So just history, just close the quote there. Yeah, you're good. And you don't need a comma after then, arts. Yeah. Okay. So we put commas only after the column ends. So there's a comma after name, there's a comma after subject, score, and case is an entire column in itself. So when the entire column ends, that is when we'll put a comma.
Maths
And science. You can copy it from the right side window that you have, right? There is an output which says science. This is fine. Yeah. Then just call it sciences. Okay. And just
else.
put a else condition. Yeah, this is a catch-all condition. If nothing matches, then put this value. You can put any value. Yeah, you can put none. I think none is not a valid word in SQLite. It will be in other things. Just put NA, like string NA.
Okay.
Yeah, this should work. Else, then you need to end it
So end, yeah.
and then name this. Uh, Again, you don't have to put a semicolon. Just name it as something. Just say subject category. Category is fine. All right. Okay, now everything is the same, right? You need to select this from a table. So which table are we looking at?
Scores table.
Yeah, so select it from scores.
Do we have to
Okay.
put category into
You that's you can just name it without strings. That's fine. Okay. You haven't selected the. You need to select I think both the lines, which is 19 and 20. Okay. What is the problem? Can you read the error?
it says
Okay. So you're using s dot score, right? But you haven't renamed the scores table as something. So s. So you need to rename scores as s.
scores as okay.
Yeah, this will also work. As again, best practice is to say as s. This will also work. Yeah. It's again SQL is about English readability. So make it as readable as possible so that when you read it, I think it's easy to understand. Okay. So we got this right. So we are able to transform or create a new column based on the raw data. So let's go to the original problem Sulabh now, which is we want to look at the average score and number of students by the category, right? Okay. So how will you edit your line number 17, the query on line number 17 to get the answer?
So the category has it. Do we have to do that all together, or once it is made, it just sticks there? I think we're gonna have to do it all together in line 17, right?
Correct. Yes. So, but you just need the category. You don't need the other columns. So instead of subject, you can just use the category,
Okay.
right? But you need to create the category. It doesn't exist in scores right now, right?
Yeah. So let me just write down the whole new query over here. So select. So what was the original question again? We had to.
We had to look. We want the average score and the number of students who took the subject category by subject category, not by subject.
Okay. Number of student count. I think we have to do distinct here.
Absolutely. You're right there. So let's do both, right? Let's do distinct as well as normal ID just for the benefit of the class.
So count ID. Case. Something, right? 5.
Okay, it gave an error.
Yes, yes. Okay, syntax error. Select average score count ID. That's the subject in this.
We're just missing a comma after count ID.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there's one more error. Oh, you got the answer there, right? All right. So, but it is you got. Can you just add count distinct ID as well? So just for the folks, right? Look at the number of students. The number of students went from 252 to 504. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. Why is that? Can anybody else apart from Sulabh answer this? Sulabh, just add distinct ID in the meanwhile.
So in arts
Same.
category, we have two subjects. So I think both the subjects are getting added. So 252 in each of the subject.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Did everyone get that? Folks, quickly. I mean, it's fine if people have doubts. You can ask, right? This is why we are here and we are doing the sessions. You're missing a comma again. Okay. So we got it here. All right. So Sulabh just paste this query in the chat, right? For
Okay.
me.
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
I'm just trying to get that. Cool. So let me share my screen and just want to walk through two quick things. All right. So first thing is, and this is more from a interview perspective. So the query that you wrote, Sulabh, is absolutely correct. That's not a problem. But when you are in an interview, the interviewers will be judging you on this SQL skill, which is correct, but also on the structure and how you are able to replicate the business problem, right? So just a few best practices I'm putting here for everyone's notice, and if you try to follow that, it just puts a better impression. uh, Basically two things, right? The interviewer knows that, hey, yes, you definitely know your SQL, but you also are a little bit organized and structured, right? So how will we do this? The first thing is that always put the columns first. So always put the columns first. What this does is you are thinking it from a business perspective, right? The problem was for a given category or subject category, what are my average scores and my count of students, right? So first category came first, then came the scores. So we are saying average score. So this is just the, and I'll take distinct ID and I'll take ID, right? So just the flow is slightly more readable this way. And hence we should follow this. So we should have raw columns first, then aggregate columns, then we should have scores, and of course then we will have a group by, and I am grouping by category. Again, quick thing, here it is case insensitive, where the column name category and category are same, like capital C and small c are same. certain again providers, like I don't remember, but maybe Oracle, or not Oracle, maybe like Databricks or something, it will throw an error because it will consider small c category and capital C category as different columns, right? Generally it should work, but just highlighting it, right? The second thing is you should always name your columns. So any new column that you're creating, you should just name them. So this is count of students, and this is actually this is not count of students, this is unique students, and this is count of students. Okay, so let's do this. I think it, am I missing anything?
Alias
S
name
dot,
for school.
okay. I haven't given an alias name. Okay, see, I made a mistake. Right. So just look at the errors whenever you're doing mistakes. By the way, I'm not sure if you'll be mostly you'll be given an environment where you'll have to write queries and look at the results. But if there is like you have to do it on pen and paper, you have to be a little bit extra careful, right? So you got this, right? So just a few best practices. This helps in two things. A, it just puts a organized impression in front of interviewers. Second is, I think it's just more readable. So when you're solving the problem as well, if you have to debug, it becomes slightly easier, right? Now, the one, correct thing, exactly, accurate thing that Sulabh did was he figured out that we have to do distinct IDs, right? And not IDs. Let's see why that is the case quickly. So Sulabh explained it. I'll just repeat it here. So I'm just pulling in subject as well. And because I'm pulling in subject, I need to group by subject as well. So let's see what this is. So, exactly, there is arts. It has two subjects, English and history. So if you look at subject wise, you get 252 students, correct? And the count is also the same because one student is taking like the one subject once. But as soon as you remove subjects from here, right? I'll just run it once more. Okay. Okay, so let's run both of them. So you can see arts got combined into one. So unique student is still 252, but it summed up the count of students to 504. Similar for sciences. Okay. Everyone clear what is happening here? Okay, all good?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Great job, Sulabh. I think you kind of took the case statement really well. So we were able to cover one more topic because of that. So thank you so much. All right. Who wants to go next? By the way, any questions, Sulabh, on this?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Who wants to go next? Who all are remaining? Only Sai is remaining. Sai and Gautami are remaining, right?
Yeah, I'll go now.
Okay. All right. So I think we have covered cases. We have covered, I think those are the main key things. We can cover one more topic, which is subqueries. All right, so let's get started, Sai. So why don't other folks ask him a starting question? Go ahead.
I think someone is sharing the screen, so
I'll just stop it. Go ahead. Folks, come on. I think this is an important skill as well. You know the data inside out now. So think about what questions can be asked. Like, what can an interviewer ask you? So you are the interviewer in this case. You need to ask Sai a question.
Maybe from the other table, we pull something and matches with that.
So you're getting into joins category. Slightly tricky.
Yeah, it's a sort of join.
Yeah,
Let's do
without
it.
using join, using subquery.
Okay, that's good. All right. So let's go back to your previous the first question that we did, right? Which is okay. Let's do that. So let's say that we want to know who are the students who got okay, let's do it that way. Let's print out the students who got the maximum marks. So I want to know all the students who got the maximum marks and in English subject.
Abhilash, sorry to interrupt. I'm dropping out now. My cold is getting worse.
Sure, no worries. Take care.
Yeah, thank you.
Tomorrow. All right, no problem. Okay. So you got the question right?
Can you please repeat again so that I can write it on my book?
Sure. So we want to know all the students who got maximum marks in English.
Max marks.
So we want to print all the students who got maximum marks in English.
Okay. Can I have a join clause so that I can like scores and the students I can match it up?
You don't need to do a join clause. You can just do it using scores table because you have scores in scores table and you have student names in score table and you have IDs in score table. So you don't need to join anything.
Just
Okay, you need to break it down. Go step by step.
okay.
What is the first thing that we need?
You said English, right, sir?
Yeah, I said English, yes.
Got max mark.
So Sai, I think your logic is there. The syntax is not correct. Anybody else in the class who can help Sai out? Okay, anybody familiar with subqueries?
If I close the bracket here.
Okay, no problem, no problem. I think
Can
like you
I?
said, your logic is there. Sorry.
I'll just. So can you correct me so that?
Yeah, no worries. I'll just share my screen.
Sure. Can I stop my
Okay.
screen?
Yeah, sure. So I think there are 2 points that I want to drive here. One is again structure as to how you approach the problem, and then actually using SQL to solve it. So what was the question? The question was, we want to get all the students who got maximum marks in English, right? So the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out what were the maximum marks in English, correct? Okay, so let's do that. So we'll say that select, of course, we want the subject and we want the maximum score as max score. From where? From scores table, and we'll group it by 1, right, or subject. Let's see what it gives you. Okay, did not run. Why is this? Okay, so it gives you that English, the maximum score that someone got was 100, right? Now we want it only for English. So like you did, we have to say subject is English, and we don't need group by here now. So actually we do need group by because we have used subject comma max, right? So let's see what it gives you. It gives you English and 100, right? And now given that I know I have only one subject which is English, I will remove this. And because I'm not using any column, I can remove the group by. Okay. So this is my first part of the answer, which is the maximum marks that someone got in English is 100. Everyone clear so far? Okay. Now let's try, and now we have to get all the students, right? So let's forget this one for now. And let's say that we want all the students. So I want ID and I want name, right? And I'll do subject as well. Where from? From scores table, of course. And what do we want? We want the score. We want two conditions, right? One is that the subject should be English, or let's actually do directly, right? So let's do score equal to 100 because 100 was the answer. Okay. So let's see what this returns. See, it gave you, actually, let's do score as well. So it gave you all these students, right, who got 100 marks. But what's the problem? The problem is the subject is other than English as well, right? So what we need to do? We need to say that, and the subject I want is English. Okay. Now let's try this. So your answer comes down to just 3 students, correct? Now there is one more problem, right? Actually, let me put subject as English first. Now we have hard-coded score as 100 here, right? The score might not be 100, it can be something else as well, correct? But we know that this query, the answer was 100, correct? So instead of 100, I can say not equal to, we have to say in the output of the previous query. So output of the previous query is 100. So we will say when the score is in the output of this query, which is 100. Okay, I'll just indent it for easy reading, right? Okay, best practices, just indent it, started here, right? So this is a subquery that we use. So this is a query, like a subquery that we used in a clause, right? Let's say this works, should work. See, you got the same answer, correct? Any questions in this, what we did here? Folks, any question? I know this is slightly tricky, but we broke it down into 2 parts, right? We first said that we want to get the we want to know what are the maximum marks that someone scored in English. So we got this. This is the first part. So answer was 100. Then we said that, okay, now that I know that maximum marks in English were 100, I want to get all the students in English subject who scored marks as 100. So I could have done this, which is 100, right? So this will give me the same answer, correct? But because this number will keep changing, I will use a subquery, and I already have the query used before, where I know that how do I get the answer 100? I get it like this, right? So I just use a subquery, and this will give you the same answer. All clear how we did this? Folks, are we clear how we did this?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody had a question? Did someone have a question? Okay, so this is the first way. Okay, now this is the first way of using the subquery, and then this can be a question in your interview, right? They will say that try it in a different way, right? Each method is more efficient than other, depending on the use case. So you should know a couple of ways to do that, right? So this is the first way. Now look at a second way of using the subquery. Again, this is a logical thing now. Okay, so if you look at this output of this, what is it? It's a table, right? The table just has one column and one row, max 4, and the row is, just one value, which is 100, correct? So technically, we can use, output of this score. Okay, so that, but I think we'll go into the joint territory there. Max score is okay. I think now that's fine. So this is a subquery. There is another way to do this, which is okay, English. Max of 100. Now I think this is the way. Just give me a minute. I just need to think through. So basically, I'm trying to not introduce a new concept right now. and see whether this can be done in a different manner. You got a table with okay, now I think this is the way. No problem. So we'll introduce a second way later, which has to deal with joins, right? Cool. But this is the concept of subqueries. Uh, do we are we good?
Yes.
Okay. Let me try one different thing because I just want to maybe introduce a concept which can work here. And it's a very simple way to. Sorry?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead,
So
Ina.
you used in the subquery you use score in, right?
Yeah.
But I tried using equal to and it works too. So
Yeah, it'll work too. It's just a good practice to use in because it's more readable, right? So what you have in a subquery is a table, or rather, it's a column in this case,
uh-huh.
correct? So let's
Yeah.
say this column has multiple rows, then
Okay.
equal to will fail,
Oh, okay.
right? So
Yeah.
think about it in a reading manner. You want score to be in this column,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So so basically that's the reason. Like for example, okay, can I demonstrate that? Okay, let's do this, right? So instead of, I'll just get the 1 minute. Just let me try this one quick thing, and I'll answer your question. Why
Okay.
n is better than equal to? So let's do this in 10. Okay, so let's see if this works. Mm, okay, so 10 dot max. Okay, doesn't seem like it. Okay, that's fine. We'll introduce that later. Sure thing. So, okay, so let's look at why that is better, right? So, you had this subquery which gave you just one answer, which was English, which was 100. Sorry. Okay. Now, let's modify the question. Let's say that I want to look at the top two scores because I want to reward the top two performers, not the first one, the first and second. Okay. How do you do that quickly? So, we'll say that score, correct? Of course, subject is English. I will order by score in descending order, and I will limit this to 2. Okay. And I can take, okay, this will be good. Let's see what this returns. So it gave both 100, right? Because two people have 100 scores. So if I take distinct of score, see, it gave 199. Clear? This is the same concept that Sulabh used, right? Instead of ID, he used distinct ID. Is everybody getting the difference what happens here? So if I use score versus distinct score, these two queries, folks, are you getting the difference?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that is the first one. Now let's say you have this distinct one, right? So you've got the top two scores. So you got 100 and you got 99. Now if you use equal to, it should not work. So let's say we do this. So let's say we do this. Okay, just indenting so that we know that. Okay, so let's run this. So when you do in, now you got, let me order it as well, right? So see, now you got the top two scores, maybe descending. Oops. Okay, so you got the top two scores. So all the students who got 199, right? But if I do an equal to here, it should not work technically. Right? Why? Because it just equaled the first value, which was 100. That's it. Correct? So whenever you are equaling something, right, it is equaling to a value. Whereas when you are looking for an in statement, it is looking in a list. And a column is a list in a way, right? Or in a column. Is the distinction clear?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I'll just run all the things simultaneously so that we know what is happening. Okay, there's a difference. All right, so that was an introduction to subqueries. Any questions so far? Any questions for today? So today we learned three more things. So we learned first is having, which is filter for group by. It's similar to where, but it operates on group by or aggregate columns. Second thing that we learned today was transforming columns, right? So we use a case statement to transform a column or create a new column based on existing data or existing columns. And the third thing that we learned today was subqueries. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far, or are we good for today's session?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Ayushi, Sai, Gautami, Prinsa, Sulav.
I think
No,
I'm
sir, it's good. Yeah.
working.
I'm good.
Just a minute, folks. So that was there. Gautami, we didn't get a chance for you to kind of practice in front of the class. So we'll start tomorrow with you.
Yes, yes.
All right. And we'll use all the concepts that we learned so far. All right. So I'll pause here. I have a request. If you guys have, any other data sets that we can work with, it will be good because you guys are close to that topic. Maybe like, for example, sports, movies, anything, geography, education, anything that is there that you want to work with. Please bring those data sets in. We will use those data sets to kind of practice and learn new concepts. Okay, so we are 2 days in the class. There are 3 more days remaining. Tomorrow we'll do joins. It's again one of the critical things. But once we do joins, I think like 85% of the things are done. Practical things are done. Okay, at least from a work and an job like interview perspective. Then we can brush up on other things. All right. So I'll just pause here, and we have last 2-3 minutes left. I just want to take some feedback on, is this format working, or should we try something differently in terms of going about this course, or is there anything else that we want to learn as well?
I think from a perspective of what kind of questions they may ask in interviews or what kind of expectations they have from a data analyst or as an analyst, like while working with SQL queries, I think if you like touch those points, I think that should be enough, because obviously in 5 days we'll not be able to finish a lot, right? So I think that should be good. I think
Okay.
everyone would agree with it.
Well, that's fair. That is one. Anything else?
I like that you work with us. But if there is a way that you can provide a syntax for all of the things that we have worked instead of just like writing it, you know?
Sure. Basically, like a repository of all the code that we have written so far.
Yeah. That'll be
Okay,
helpful.
fair enough. Yeah, I was planning to provide that at the end, because if we do that right now, right, it just we tend to copy paste without searching and just hinders the learning. So, but I'll provide that at the end for sure. All the syntax and everything I'll provide at the end of the class. By the way,
Okay.
do you get the recorded videos?
Yeah, we do. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I would recommend using the videos for the 5 days. It just helps the learning process, understanding process, and I'll make sure that I'll give you all the code at the end. I'll share like a GitHub repository with everyone where all these things are there.
Okay, yeah, that'll be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. And just touching base on the previous point for interview questions. So I generally break down, in my experience, interviews into 2 parts. One are theoretical, actually 3 parts. So SQL and then non-SQL things, right? So your resume, your general stuff, what you did in life, so forth and so on, right? So we'll keep that separate. For SQL things, you will be asked 2 types of questions. One would be a little bit theoretical. For example, what is relational database? What is RDBMS? All these things. So that is a set of questions. And the second questions will be exactly what we are doing right now, which is they will actually give you a data set, and they will say that, hey, given this data set, now answer my question, right? So they'll give you a student's data set and they'll say, how many students are there of age 13? What are the total average marks that people from, females versus males that got, in this thing? So second part we are actually doing, where people will give you an interview, will give you a data set and questions, and they'll ask you to kind of come up with answers or outputs by writing SQL queries. So that we are actually already doing. Which is will maybe collate a list of theoretical questions that can be asked in interviews and provide that to you along with the repository, the code syntaxes that Prince asked.
Yes, I think that will be very helpful.
Got it. Okay. All right, folks, we are at time. So have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. And please collate all the questions from the sessions that you have. We can take the first 15 minutes tomorrow to kind of answer that.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Good night, folks.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.